A truly intriguing question. Why did Russian peasants historically go without any underwear? The explanation runs far deeper than one might initially assume. Today, underpants are considered entirely indispensable, be they tight or loose, comfortable or not. They accompany us in daily routines and at formal gatherings at home or on the job. Underwear can chafe, be removed with grace or awkwardness, and is stored in dressers or laundry baskets. At one time, there simply were no panties in Russia, and village youngsters amused themselves by flinging a girl's dress over her head to inspect whatever it concealed. Naturally, this spectacle was accompanied by boisterous, gleeful laughter. On New Year's Eve or during Christmas celebrations, villagers scattered pepper on their cottage floors. The dust rose into the air, provoking sneezes and peals of laughter among those present. In days gone by, priests forbade the use of village swings, deeming them a source of improper amusement in the absence of any underwear. So how did it come about that common folk in Tsarist Russia did without underwear? Quite simply, they were deemed unnecessary and even cumbersome, while living without them proved far more convenient. Russians had no time for undergarments. They spent their lives on the move, whether fleeing the Mongols or pursuing them, racing for firewood or escaping bears. In winter, they battled the cold. In summer, they contended with ticks. Even a private trip to the outhouse required haste before an uninvited visitor appeared. Functionality and simplicity in clothing took precedence, and underwear only hindered movement. Neither running nor laboring called for it. Instead, peasants wore two layered shirts. The outer one, adorned with ornaments and patterns crafted by a wife, sister, or mother, was called the. It served as a status emblem and a testament to the family's care. Beneath it lay the plain, undyed shirt known as the accompanied a Russian everywhere, in sleep on the battlefield and in the battle of. After brutal clashes, thousands of worn fluttered in the breeze, recalling those who had last worn them. In times of peace, it was the first garment a bride saw when her husband crossed the threshold of their bridal chamber to seek happiness together. Men's underwear likewise consisted of a simple shirt, but with the onset of harsh Russian winters and the thud of frozen Mongols at their doors, peasants added breeches, known as to their attire. This garment was introduced into Peter the Great's army, where every soldier was issued European style as part of the uniform. Thus ends the account of male undergarments. The family trousers voluminous underpants that could theoretically accommodate multiple people, emerged after the 1930s as the Soviet interpretation of the traditional. Women's underwear, in contrast, is both simpler and more intricate, as is anything related to women. Everything here is finer and more complexly regulated. Let us begin with a garment resembling an old Russian shift. It was a central element of women's attire, offering both comfort and practicality. Unlike the male, which was suitable for any occasion, be it drunken village festivities or battles against the Mongols, the women's nightshirt was strictly for home wear. It was deemed improper for a peasant woman to appear in public wearing it. The sheer fabric revealed the body's shape too clearly, inviting gossip. A woman might only show herself in complete attire, skirt, and neatly coiled hair. Any detail out of place was unacceptable, as one's outward appearance reflected both modesty and honor. Revealing underwear was considered so disgraceful that village Cossacks refused to dance with women in skirts, lest the garment recall a nightshirt and imply undue domestic freedom. Instead, women layered an underskirt beneath their shift, concealing their figure and ensuring additional decorum. Yet sometimes a touch of mischief lurked in these underskirts. Playful embroidery, depictions of a rooster and hen, a small dog, or other amusing scenes served to tease a beloved husband. Other times there was no decoration at all, for imagination proved a powerful weapon. When venturing outside, a skirt were worn over the underlayers. Viewed from an old Russian perspective, nothing beneath was superfluous, perfect for fieldwork, moving in the wind, or tending the garden. At home, all these garments were removed by one's own or another's hands until the peasant woman reclined on her pillow, clad only in her shift, sometimes even without its collar. Such freedom was a rare privilege. And so where was the underwear? Quite simply, it did not exist in Russian villages. Panties first appeared in 15th century France, alongside wigs, the French language, Voltaire's ideas, and songs. Gradually, they reached Russian nobility and the Romanov court, yet remained out of reach for commoners until the 20th century. Russian czars and aristocrats eagerly adopted French fashions, including silk underpants as symbols of refined taste and high status. For peasants, such purchases seemed pointless, and underwear remained an elite privilege. Everything changed in the early 20th century when factories began mass-producing inexpensive cotton underpants. Men gained access to them, but for women, wearing them remained taboo. Villagers associated the garment with foreign, irreligious customs. Elderly women chased young girls who dared don underpants. With the advent of electricity and the lamp, peasant women asserted their right to comfort and hygiene, making underwear accessible to all. The new era liberated women from outdated restrictions and integrated this garment into everyday life. Peasant life brimmed with peculiarities and hardships. Particularly difficult were the menstrual days for rural women, who faced strict prohibitions tied to their cycle. During these times, they had to conceal the natural processes of their bodies and minimize contact with society. According to old folk beliefs, they were barred from religious ceremonies, touching sacred objects, or handling certain foods. In some regions, women were isolated in separate huts while menstruating to prevent ritual contamination of their surroundings. The tradition turned a natural process into a stigma of shame, forcing generations of women to endure discomfort and humiliation. The roots of these prejudices lay in ignorance of human biology and blind adherence to religious dogma. Shame, born of superstition, upheld a system of prohibitions passed down as unbreakable norms. Marriage, the most significant event in a peasant's life, often took place in total isolation and darkness. Newlyweds had little opportunity to truly know one another. Intimate relations were not only forbidden but laden with strict taboos. In peasant families, this led to numerous challenges, especially for young women who, from childhood, could not speak openly about matters concerning men. Mothers and elder women taught girls about motherhood and intimacy through hints and wordless rituals, avoiding direct conversation. This practice often left young women feeling insecure and ashamed. Thus, the daily existence of the peasantry was marked by a deep contradiction between natural, physiological processes and rigid traditional norms. The historical experience of peasant life reminds us how social conventions can distort human nature, turning the natural into the forbidden and the necessary into a source of shame.